faith, which is they can do that. They can choose to do that.
Yeah.
But we tell them stop behaving like dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, because behaving like dogs doesn't get humans anywhere. Okay, dogs are dogs, humans are humans. So we know by human conventions, by the rules of decency, that we can talk to each other. We can have decent conversations without.
Let's talk to eagles.
Yeah, eagle.
I have some questions about the Quran.
Yes.
To comment on Surah number 4.
Yeah.
Why is it said that boys should get twice more heritage than women, than girls?
That's not in Surah 4, that's in Surah 2. And in Surah 2 as well, Surah Baqarah as well.
Oh, it's talking about the inheritance.
Inheritance, yeah, Surah Baqarah, yeah.
But it must be in Surah 4 somewhere too.
Verse 282.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the point is, it doesn't say half, by the way. Okay? Because if you calculate the proportions, the man is responsible for the living of the ladies of the house.
Yes.
Whether it's a mother, whether it's a wife or a daughter or sister. So if a man inherits from the father, he must feed from his share his mother, sister, wife and daughters. Okay? So he uses his share. On the other hand, whatever women inherit from the deceased, the wife, she keeps her share.
Yes.
The mother keeps her share. The daughters keep the share. They do not have to spend a penny from their share. It is the responsibility of the men. So hence the wisdom of an extra share for the men, so that they can actually sustain the family. They can continue to sustain the family because it's their responsibility to provide for the family, Islamically speaking. Hence the wisdom of what you just.
There's actually very interesting, because I talked to a guy somewhere over there, asked him the very same question, and he said approximately the same thing you said. But what is your opinion? Doesn't it indicate that in Quran men and women do not really have equal rights and equal responsibilities, that men have more rights but more responsibilities?
No. When it comes to rights, in fact, when it comes to reward and punishment in the Quran for virtues or vices, the reward and punishment is absolutely equal. So men and women in the Quran are treated absolutely equally spiritually, 100%. When it comes to physicality or physiology, of course men and women are different, so that's why different rules apply to them. So the Quran is very consistent like that. And when you apply these rules, they produce amazing results. As long as they are practiced properly, with due diligence, and everything is fine.
And
right? Yeah.
Sorry, can I just touch up?
Yeah,
I was recently studying this matter of inheritance. Did you know that in Surah Nisa, it breaks it down, So for example, there are the people who get 50%, is the people who inherit 50% is the husband. If the husband is not there, it's the daughter, the granddaughter, the full sister and the paternal sister. That means 4 females get more than 1 man in that specific instance. But it gets better. 66.7%. Who gets 2/3? If the son, let's suppose, if I have a daughter and a son, imagine I have 3 daughters and 1 son.
Yes.
If my son, God forbid, passes away, you know who gets 66%? My daughters. If my daughters are not there, the granddaughters, the full sisters and the paternal sisters, they get more than a man. But how many men? Listen to this carefully. In certain specific instances, a woman gets more than 13 male family members. 13 male family members. For example, a woman in certain instances gets more than the grandson, the father, the grandfather, the full brother, the paternal brother, the maternal brother, the nephew of the full brother, the nephew of the paternal brother, the full uncle paternal, the half uncle paternal, cousin of the full uncle, the cousin of the half uncle, and the husband.
It's all according to the Quran,
According to the Quran and Surah Nisa, what
the calculations are according.
So if there is no son, a woman gets more than 13 different male family members.
Yeah, that's interesting, but still going to...
You see the nuances?
Yes.
So it's not just black and white, because I'll tell you why you asked this question. This is my assumption now.
Yes.
A lot of this stuff is online. People are spreading these sound bites about Islam and Muslims, right?
and they are highly misinformed or ill-informed, right? So this is why it's important to ask questions, like you did. You came and asked a question. So the issue of inheritance in Islam is far more nuanced than what you will get in a post on Twitter, or like a short video made by an Islamophobe or someone who's trying to deliberately misguide people on Islam and Islamic law. And the reason why they pick on these things, because look, Sharia, the law of Islam,
Yes.
okay, it is comprehensive. It deals with the rights of orphans. It deals with the rights of the environment, the trees, the animals. Even Sharia has clauses that you cannot overburden your camels. When you use animals, but even when you slaughter animals for food, there is a certain way that you don't inflict pain on them, right? Sharia is all mercy.
Sorry,
we
what
believe
way?
it's all mercy.
What way?
They do is, what these people do is, they ignore the 99% of it, and they go on one point like that. That's Sharia.
No, that's
Sharia.
no. It's very interesting. You said about. I know there is a like halal way of slaughtering animals.
Yes.
As far as I know, it involves slitting the throat. Yes.
Yes.
Do you actually know that it's been scientifically proved that it's a lot more humane to electrocute animals rather than to do that, something like this?
Subjective matter. Others disagree. Others disagree because electrocution can cause a lot of pain, and if animals are not fully unconscious and you slaughter them, you're not only electrocuting them, you are now slitting the throat as well. So this is why electrocution, in our view, actually inflicts more pain on the animals. You have no right to inflict that pain on the animals. If you want to use them as food, then there is a way. The easiest way is use a sharp instrument that doesn't cause any pain at all. There are specific instructions from the Prophet with regards to this issue.
Is it working? Yeah. You've ever seen people getting electrocuted?
I wouldn't like to see people getting electrocuted.
I did.
I think it's more painful. Have you ever got?
Okay, now
I've heard the stories that people got electrocuted, they got tortured.
I'm talking about electrocution with high voltage and high amperage, because it's the.
You know, electrocution is one of the ways to torture.
Yeah.
I know, of course.
So why would that cause less pain?
Let me tell you, I've seen, not in real life, thank goodness, not in real life, but I've seen it on YouTube. If the voltage is high enough, the person passes out instantly. Have you ever seen people getting their throats
before they
cut?
pass out, what happens to them? When the current goes through the body, what happens to them? Do they feel pain or do they feel comfort?
They might feel pain for a very
back and forth argument. You can argue no, it causes less pain. I can argue no.
Science can prove it. Science has already done it.
Science doesn't prove everything.
Can science
recommends.
Science has to be the goat that's getting cut to prove it.
What?
The scientists have to become, they have to feel it themselves. If you're not in the shoe of the goat,
absolutely not.
Okay, you can never know how it's for me to have a strawberry. How a strawberry tastes to me.
Technically, you can.
You can never ever. It's subjective.
That experience is subjective.
That experience is personal. Yeah.
No.
No, that's just
tomography.
It varies.
No. Okay, 1 second.
Varies from person to person.
Can you show? Okay, can you show love? Yeah. Can you say, okay, here you go, Ali, this is what love looks like?
It's a set of hormones and a neural reaction.
Can you see it?
You can see it if you do a tomography
Can you
test.
see the sentiment? The feeling?
The sentiment is just a word that we use to explain it. It's merely a set of hormones.
Can you see the sentiment? Can you actually measure love?
Yeah.
Can you
The
actually
sentiment.
measure love with the
sentiment.
With the device?
The sentiment does not exist per se. What exists is hormones,
Is
the
there
brain,
any way to
and
measure love
Exactly. That's
for your
subjective.
children, for your wife, for your mother, for your parents?
of course there's not, because love doesn't exist per se.
Exactly.
What exists is our brain and reactions in the brain and the hormones that are emitted in our
we
blood
accept
system.
all scientists, all scientific research as valid, as long as it's valid.
You shouldn't, because there's a lot of
I'm saying
rubbish.
as long as it's valid.
Yes.
Okay? We accept scientific hypotheses, right? As long as they are done within the boundaries of science, we accept them, and we really appreciate the work of the scientists. At the same time, having said that, we do not make science a criteria to judge truth from falsehood, from good to bad, or other things, for example, right? Science has its place. It is absolutely crucial for us to take science into consideration, especially in this day and age when science has advanced quite a lot, and we have to respect science and scientists. At the same time, there are certain questions science does not answer and cannot answer, because science has a clear definition, it has clear boundaries, there's a philosophy of science, there is a scientific method. So science is defined, limited by its own scopes, right? So science does not, for example, God, people try to make God a question of science. God is not a question of science.
It is. It is, because...
Okay, God, first of all, let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
Science, by default, depends on nature, right? Or naturalism. Is that correct? Is that a correct statement?
To a certain extent, yes.
Okay. God is supernatural. God is a supernatural question. God is beyond nature. We never claim that God is within the natural world.
This is just rhetoric, you know.
No. This is how we see God. Okay, if we see God in
that's your opinion.
In that light, I mean, this is the opinion of theists. People who believe in God, for example, Christians are the only exception that God came on earth.
Your opinion doesn't make it true, you know. That's the problem.
No problem. I'm acknowledging my opinion doesn't have to be right. What I'm saying, this is how we see God. God is a question of the supernatural. Okay, science has no business there. Science does not indulge in the supernatural. Science cannot, for example, science does not have a view on dreams.
Sorry, am I not taking a lot of time? Because I've got time, but like if I'm bothering you, that's okay.
No.
Okay.
So this is how we see science and the question of God or other supernatural questions. Okay. For example, we believe in, let's say, jinns, demons.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we believe in demons, right? We have our reasons to believe in them, right? Science has nothing to say on demons. Science does not consider the question of demons because it is something supernatural. It is not in the natural world, right?
Yes.
Therefore, science has nothing to say on it. So science is clearly defined, limited to the natural world by naturalism. Is that reasonable?
The problem is that you might be wrong, and you're probably wrong, because the phrase "God is supernatural" it's pure rhetoric. You can't. It's just, you know, it's just an expression that has nothing. Whereas science is all about proving and, you know, debating, arguing, and you just say God is supernatural.
Proving based upon what?
Proving based upon evidence.
Good.
Yes.
What evidence? What's the nature of evidence in science? What's the definition of evidence in science? Scientifically speaking.
Yeah, evidence is
applying the philosophy of science. What is evidence?
There are several types of evidence. One is something we can like actually not really see or feel, but measure. You know. Like
how?
By means, very often by the means of instruments.
What's the nature of evidence? What do you regard evidence? What do you see as evidence?
Well, I told you something.
Does it have to be empirical?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We can mathematically prove something. Like it's been proven mathematically way before we had instruments that we can't reach the speed of light. And we actually can't. It's been proved empirically, but before that we proved it mathematically. Well, not we, Einstein did, but yeah, but still.
Right. Until it was proven empirically.
Yes.
What was the status of it?
We just didn't know.
Okay.
Didn't know.
So it is empiricism that basically decided the fate or the outcome of this particular question, right?
It's the last, you know, the last station.
Okay.
Yes.
Science is something. Science is based upon hypotheses.
Yes.
Or realities that can be tested, right? That can be assessed, right? That can be put under scrutiny, right?
Yes.
For that, there has to be empirical evidence for the question you are addressing, right? Yes. Well, science cannot address something which cannot be seen, touched, or felt. Is that clear? Do you agree with that?
It can. It can.
How?
Well, you know, in Richard Dawkins's book, there is a relatively well-known example of a kettle that is orbiting around the sun, as far as I remember. Like, we can say, well, this kettle is supernatural. It cannot be observed. It cannot be. We can't feel it. We can't touch it. We can't do anything. But there is, you know, there is a kettle. Just deal with it. And we can say it's supernatural.
Why do we have to accept that?
That's the matter of opinion. It's the same.
Okay,
you can replace kettle with God.
What is the evidence for that particular opinion? The
None.
evidence.
None.
Well, obviously, when someone proposes a theory, I think there is a blue monkey flying around in the heavens.
Yes.
50,000 miles away from here. For me to state that, you will question my assertion. You will question
Yes.
my claim.
Yes.
Evidence, right?
Yeah.
Evidence means something solid you can test, right? You can assess, you can test, and you can come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Whether my assertion is true or false, right? So, how would we assess that claim? It's
There's
a claim
no way.
that there's a blue monkey flying
there's
around.
No way. There's no way to assess it. But
Scientifically,
Yes.
thank you. We're agreeing now. We're agreeing.
Yeah.
Likewise, theists claim there is a transcendental being who created the heavens and the earth, who transcends our natural realm. Therefore, because science cannot test the question of God, cannot assess it, cannot even apply its understanding of evidence to it, therefore, God question is not a question of science.
2 comments, if I
Do
can.
you understand what I just said?
Yes, obviously.
Okay.
First of all, the matter of religion.
Do you agree with that?
the matter of religion can actually be assessed because we know quite well how religions are born. We know about Mormonism. We know about cargo cults.
Are we moving on to something else now?
No, I'm just telling you that you said that like religion and God cannot be scientifically analyzed.
Not religion. Some of the religious claims can be put under scrutiny because there could be empirical evidence for that stuff. I'm saying where you cannot find empirical evidence for a notion, for an assertion, for an idea, science has nothing to say on that because science needs evidence to comment, to create a hypothesis or a number of hypotheses. Science needs evidence. If there is no evidence, which is
what scientific proof will demonstrate without a shadow of doubt that the Creator exists?
Could you repeat it once again, please?
What scientific proof will you accept that the Creator exists if that was given?
So he's saying, what scientific proof will prove to you that a creator exists? What sort of proof would you
If
need?
it's a scientific question, then there must be a scientific
Way.
way to
So,
prove it.
if scientists,
question of science.
if scientists will demonstrate conclusively that the hypothesis, the theory that makes most sense is that the one which involves the creator, this is the evidence I will accept.
Such as, what is the nature of the evidence?
Such as, if we were to take all the theories and compare them point by point, and it would be demonstrated that evolutionary theory, other theories explain the origin of life a lot worse than the creator
The
theory.
question is about existence of the Creator, not about how the world works. So what sort of scientific proof will make you
The existence of a creator.
make you
Because
convinced that the Creator exists? What sort of
the
scientific
nature of the
proof?
universe is
Yeah,
one
he's
thing.
asking proof basically.
Yeah.
What is the proof?
You see, no, let me, the nature of the universe is one thing, that's one question, and the existence of the creator or a creator is another question. What scientific proof would you need to prove the existence of a creator?
But didn't I tell you this?
No, you didn't, no. You're talking about the nature of the universe, how universe works, how human origin works. You're talking about these things. We're not talking about the creator yet. So what scientific proof would we need to prove a creator?
But, well, don't we accept that the creator is the part of the universe?
No, we don't accept that.
Then that doesn't really make sense because there's nothing, according to the definition of the universe, there's nothing outside of the universe.
So you now agree with that man that it's not a scientific question. It is not within the scope of science to talk about the Creator.
Thank you.
It's not in the universe.
Is that now, because now you've understood
That's why I wanted, that was my second point. Doesn't it?
So just because the mic cannot hear Mansur. Now, are we in agreement now that having discussed these few points, we agree that based upon this discussion, God is not a question of science?
If we agree that,
Because we believe God is beyond the universe.
then yes. Then,
Okay, we agree.
Now I'm arriving to the second point.
Right.
Doesn't it sound absurd that we were talking about a kettle in the sky or a monkey 50,000 kilometers away, and you said, "Can you prove it?" no, you can't. Okay, you could replace a monkey, a kettle, with God, and the meaning would remain the
Still
same.
not a question of science.
Yes.
It's a question of philosophy.
But doesn't it sound absurd? Doesn't it sound absurd to you? If we talk about a flying kettle, and we actually compare a flying kettle.
Make it simple.
No, this is
Either
a
the
question.
creator
It's not a
exists or
question
the
of
creator
science.
doesn't exist. And is it a scientific question?
We're still in agreement. You're right. Absolutely. One can claim anything is out there.
Yes.
Absolutely. But is it a question of science? We have already demonstrated that God is not a question of science. Now, it is a question of philosophy. Philosophically, by reasoning, by intelligent reasoning, we can show you the philosophical reasons as to why God exists. Because science does not have the scope to reach there. It stops. Where empirical evidence stops, science stops. Where naturalism stops, science stops, right? It doesn't go beyond that, right? For that reason, God is a question of philosophy. So from philosophy, from using arguments, philosophical arguments, we can show you why God exists, why he has to exist. So that's the difference. Now again, talking about a blue monkey flying 50,000 miles away from here is a question of philosophy.
Yes.
It's not a question of science. Philosophically, if I can show you reasonably well that there is a monkey 50,000 miles away from here flying around in space, if I can give you reasons for that, then you can either accept my reasons or reject those reasons.
Well, philosophy is weak. Philosophy doesn't
not
prove
weak.
things as
Philosophy
solid.
is at the core of science. Without the philosophy of science, you do not have science.
Well, philosophy,
If you remove philosophy from science, there is no science. Do you agree?
yes,
Even
we
science
do.
has.
Yes.
So then philosophy.
You know why the reason why philosophy exists even in science, because
science needs it.
no.
Without philosophy
No.
of science, science wouldn't make sense.
No, because reality is objective. It doesn't it doesn't really matter what we think of things. They are just what they are. But
Based upon the philosophies we have chosen to follow.
the thing is, the problem is that we are, as the machines that analyze the world, we are also biased, and the only way we can kind of tame this bias is by the means of philosophy. But that's something we have to deal with it, and fortunately science is not all about philosophy.
I never said that.
Can I ask you a question on the very question I've got?
Yes.
You see, I want to dismantle an understanding from atheists,
Yes.
because I don't think they're really. No, come close to me.
No, I'll sit there. I need rest.
No.
Please carry on.
You see, atheists often tell us
Yes.
that there are no real evidence to believe in a creator. The reason they are atheists is because of the absence of
you.
solid evidence, right?
Yes.
Because of the absence of evidence. Now, if I were to ask any atheist, what evidence would satisfy you that the creator exists?
Well, I told you you were not happy with it.
Can you repeat that again?
I told you my evidence would be okay. God obviously has something to do with the with creation of life. If he's the creator, he has something to do with the creation of life. Yes, am I right?
Yeah.
So now we're back to the question of the creation of life. If we accept the definition of God as someone who created the life, that's one of his functions, then we would have to look at the theories of origin of life. And if most scientists, were to prove conclusively, without many doubts, that the theory that involves the creator, the creationism, is the most solid theory, then I would probably change my mind. However, right now that's not the case, because evolutionary theory is a lot stronger than the creation theory.
Just a theory out of many. How is that?
No, it's the most solid theory.
Models of how life began.
Yeah, but evolutionary is obviously the best.
Matter, right? Is matter eternal in your worldview? Let's put the atheist in the comfort zone, or take it out of the comfort zone. Matter existed before life, according to the scientific understanding that we have today. is matter here eternally existing? Or did it have a beginning of existence?
It is unknown. It is unknown. According, like most physicists believe that matter will gradually devolve. So molecules will break into atoms. Atoms will break into subatomic parts.
But the origin of matter. I mean, let me put it this way.
Yes.
Existence, could it come from non-existence?
Yes.
What is non-existence?
Non-existence. Look, like we've got hydrogen and we've got oxygen, but the water does not exist yet. Now we do a chemical reaction, bam, we've got water. So
Did it come from non-existence?
yes,
No, it came
Because
from hydrogen and oxygen.
but water as water did not exist.
The water, which is
Yes.
existence,
Yes.
it came from existence, which is
Yes.
hydrogen and oxygen. So can you give me an example where existence arises from non-existence? There was nothing.
What is non-existence in your opinion?
Ah, good question.
Yes.
So this is what atheists understand. This is where Professor Lawrence needs to revise his book title and to say the universe from something in his next edition. This is an advice to Professor Lawrence Krauss. He's a very smart gentleman. So, non-existence is simply a way of defining the absence of any existence. Absence of gravity,
Yes.
absence of quanta, absence of fluctuations, absence of energy fields, absence of everything. That's non-existence. So can non-existence in that definition give rise to existence like us?
Yeah, if I were a scientist, I'd probably give you a more detailed answer. But I personally don't know. But if you were to ask
Define what
scientists,
non-existence is.
I know. I personally don't know
And
whether
which
it can or
scientist do you
can't.
think will answer that existence can come from non-existence?
Scientists don't operate with such, words as non-existence or existence. Scientists
No,
use
scientists need
different
to
words.
put into this straight question because
Yes.
they often seem to be hiding around jargon, right? The Universe from Nothing. Have you read that book?
No.
Right. I suggest you read that book and then you realize at all of this book, at the end, he's actually arguing the universe came from something. And the whole book title is The Universe from Nothing.
Yes.
What a real deception by a world-renowned, esteemed professor, a scientist. I asked him one of this book signing, and you know what he said? I explain it in my book, that my nothing is something. No, nothing is nothing. Don't redefine nothing as something. That's a deception. So can non-existence, which is absolutely nothing, give rise to existence?
Well, as I told you, I don't know. Maybe yes,
You do
maybe
know.
no.
You do know.
No,
You're not
I
willing
don't know.
to accept it.
No.
In my definition, this non-existent doesn't have anything, no energy, no
Sorry,
quanta,
mate.
no fluctuations, no gravity, no virtual reality, virtual worlds or virtual particles, absence of everything. Such a thing, which is no thing, cannot give rise to something. That by definition. If we exist now as something, can there be any time when there was absolute nothingness?
You know what? Let me tell you something. The best thing about science, what I like the most about science, is that scientists are not afraid to say we don't know. We don't know. We've got no conclusive answer yet. Unlike religion. Religion knows everything. Science does
Can
not.
you focus on the question.
I'm focusing on the question. I'm just telling you. You're talking about definitions, nothing, something. Linguistics, they have nothing to do with this,
Can science operate without logic and language?
Science operates with logic. Science
Logic
obviously
and
operates with
language.
language.
Can you have logic without language?
But scientists do not use the the morphemes, the way the word is constructed, to reason something.
Do you know why? This question is very difficult for the atheists. Do you know that? Do you know how many atheists I've discussed this question with? And every single time,
Yes.
the atheist is on the back foot and as if like, it's time to go home. I've got a party to attend. Or, we don't know. Many
Why are
other
you so
excuses.
belligerent?
Listen.
No, why?
What does it mean belligerent?
Belligerent, like you're waging a war against me.
No, I'm not waging a war against you. I'm simply saying, you know what something is. If I say, I have no money in my wallet, you don't mean, but you may have a bank that you can borrow money from. You may have a friend. I'm simply saying, I have no money on my wallet. If I have no money on my wallet, and I have no banks, and I have no friends to borrow or anyone to borrow, can I give you £50?
Obviously you can't.
Why not?
You've got no sources of money.
So I have no money. You understand what no money is?
Yeah, but that's because we agree what no money means.
Right.
Yes.
So you know what no money means?
Yes.
No money. Nothing means no thing. So can no thing make something?
Once
It's simple.
again-
It's simple. But it's the reason why you are not willing to accept it, because it has consequences of accepting it. Because that means two things. I'll tell you. You don't have to
Yes.
answer it. It's a rhetorical statement. I've asked many times, and I know the answers many times, but given.
Yeah, you know.
If something exists today, there has to be always something. Problem number one. Now we are dealing with eternity of something. Something always have to exist. Always. Either it's our universe, our cosmos, or another universe or another verse, multiverse that gave rise to the universe. There has to be something always in existence. Or the creator who created this cosmos, who has to always exist. You have no other option. So now the atheists are put on a really difficult corner, and that is why you will find it difficult. Maybe you are an exception. Maybe you can tell me actually no. Nothing which has nothing whatsoever can give rise to something in this way. Would you like to share that with me?
You seem to be so obsessed with common sense reasoning. Do you know that common sense is actually bullshit?
Can you talk about something and nothing?
I'm
rather than
talking.
common sense,
I'm
right?
talking about this. I'm talking about.
You talk about everything else apart from this subject.
Sorry. Could you please be a bit more calmer, because I don't like the way you're talking to me.
I wasn't talking to you.
look,
Talking to the crowd at the same
I'm
time.
trying
They
to-
have
I'm trying
listen
to-
me. Some people have to listen to me as well. So I'm
much-
going to shout at them, not at you.
I've
If you
got-
think I'm shouting
let
at
me-
you, I do apologize.
Okay,
It's not
I have
intentional.
7 to 8 minutes
No
left,
problem.
so I'll get.
So we need to really have an answer in 7 to 8 minutes in this discussion.
Let me
But
tell you, I just want to tell you why I disagree with your reasoning in general. When you talk about the example with the money and nothing and something and the definition of words, these words, you're involving common sense, yes?
Common sense is not good. Fine. Carry on.
Yes, but many things actually that are true go against common sense. They go against what we find obvious, and that's why I say I don't know. From the point of common sense, it seems impossible for something to appear out of nothing. But again, I know that there are a lot of things in nature that seem like
Have you seen anything
mind-boggling.
coming out from nothing? Have you seen anything coming out of nothing? Because a scientist observes. It's an observation method. Scientism or
Yes.
science is based on observation and repeatability. Have you seen anything coming out of nothing?
I've seen a plane coming out of the sky, out of nothing. This is the reasoning, you know.
If this is the level of your scientific inquiry, then I suggest you need to learn a bit more about science, how it works. This plane didn't just pop into existence just like that. It came from a particular place, maybe I'd call it an airport, right? So if you were to say, for example, when you talk against common sense and intuition,
Yes.
maybe you don't exist. It's possible, right?
If we
Is
agree
it
on
possible? Is it possible, even though it's counterintuitive, goes against common sense, maybe you don't exist? Is it possible?
if we agree on the definition of the word exist, then yeah.
Why do
it's
definition
probable.
become important now? That's exactly what I was trying to do earlier. I was defining my nothing, and I was defining what something. If you are going to base the arguments on the definitions that we are working on. So our working model, like evolution, doesn't mean banana come from apes. That doesn't mean that's not how evolution works, right? It's defined in a particular working paradigm. Likewise, nothing has a definition, something have a definition. If you really want to discuss this matter, this is the subject. Sorry.
I have accepted
Can
your definition.
something arise from nothing? Simple.
Is it going online, by the way? Is it going online?
It's probably live as well. So
Can I
people
watch
are in-
I want to watch myself later.
Yeah,
actually.
do watch it. So now, engage with me, please. Can something arise from absolute nothing?
I told you already, and I will repeat my answer, and you'll tell me no, you do know, but I will still say I do not know, and I've got my reasons to say that.
What
And
are
the
your
reasons I told you that first of all, a lot of things are counterintuitive, and even if I accept the definition of nothing as the absence of matter, from the perspective of common sense, it seems improbable. But then I understand that, well, it can happen, maybe I just don't understand it. Because brains are biased. Brains are the product of evolution. Of course they are biased. You know, we can't see we can't see the small water droplets, we can't see molecules, but bacteria probably can. That's the reason. They can sense them. Also, what I was trying to say is, sorry, I study statistics at a university, and the normal distribution, the bell curve, it looks like this, yeah, and it fades very quickly. But the range, the domain over which it is defined, is minus infinity to plus infinity, which means that if we were to take, predict a height of a person, the average height is, say, 175. The deviation is 10 centimeters, which would tell us that 99% of the people are within the range of 145 to 205 centimeters. But statistically, we can find a person who's
50 meters tall.
Yes.
50 meters tall, yeah?
Yes, statistically we can, because
50 meters tall, a person.
we
You know
can.
how much is 50 meters?
I know.
How much? Can you show me? Roughly 5 of the tree?
2 trees.
Yeah, so we can find a person 50 meters tall.
Yes. The probability would be probably 10 to the minus 500, so it would be almost zero, but it will never be zero. Like, you can Google normal distribution,
Sure.
you could see the bell curve, it
Can I
doesn't...
give you an example of something that... Let's see how you put it in your distribution curve.
Yes.
A triangle with 4 sides.
A triangle with 4 sides.
Yeah. Put it
This
in your
is-
distribution
yeah,
curve.
this is
and
not
tell
a
me-
normal-
Please.
Yes.
I'm giving you an example of a triangle with 4 sides. Is it possible? Don't say it's impossible, because in your definition, everything is
No,
possible.
you're wrong.
Maybe highly improbable.
You're wrong, you're
Okay,
wrong, you're
so,
wrong.
okay, so something coming out of nothing, is it probable or impossible?
You're wrong about triangles. I'm not gonna go
I'm
further.
talking about examples.
No, you're talking
so
about...
when we talk
This
about,
example is flawed. You know why? Because
Why is it
all
flawed?
triangles have 3 sides by definition. So
By
100,
definition.
100%. 100% of triangles. This is not a normal distribution.
Right.
This has nothing to do with normality.
So you answered my question, thank you very much.
But I was talking about it
By definition, a triangle has 3 sides, not 4 sides. So you cannot talk about a triangle having 4 sides or 5 sides, because by definition it's restricted to 3 sides. By definition, my nothing was restricted to absence of everything. You
Yes.
cannot then say, when the absence of everything is, it can bring about something. Nonsense. Do you see how your counterintuitiveness doesn't help? Because now I can say, look, it's counterintuitive to have a triangle with 4 sides. It's counterintuitive. How can you have it? How can you have a triangle with 4 sides? It's counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense. I'm arguing on your behalf. It doesn't make sense. But you will then say, but it's possible. But you argue again against yourself.
No,
But it's not possible
I will
because
not,
of
I'm not
definition.
trying to say
So
that.
I've already defined, by definition, nothing is the absence of everything. So how can it even make something when it doesn't even have anything? It has no energy to make anything. It has no gravity, no fields, no quanta, no quarks, no leptons, hadrons, gluons, boson, Higgs, whatever. It cannot originate something. This is how simple it is to dismantle the atheist claims. The claim I was asking to dismantle about this atheist of not yourself, you may be a very interesting individual with views which are not really crazy as many atheists. Atheists believe or non-believe in a creator because of the absence of belief. If you ask them, what belief? What will make you believe? What evidence? There is no evidence on planet Earth or in our cosmos that you can give that will convince them, because there is no evidence that will be convincing. That means the question of, oh, I'm atheist because there's no evidence, is really a very rhetorical statement, because you are not open to any evidence.
So
You're
are you
simply saying
talking? Are you
that it's-
talking to me, or are you talking to the audience? Because
Now, would you like to tell me about something and nothing? What are your reasons, apart from counterintuitiveness, that nothing can generate something?
sorry, this is just crazy, because you said something about atheists, that atheists believe that the like the creator does not exist. That's not how a mind of a scientifically based atheist works. That's not.
What
Scientists.
scientific proof would convince them? You said about the origins of life, right? Let's focus on that. Develop that. Origins of life.
Yes.
Obviously, no scientist was there, so it's a projection. It's just
Modeling.
It's just the modeling, right?
But there
So
is
now-
evidence, actually. There is evidence. Paleontological.
No. These are
you know.
all abiogenesis.
Fossil fuels.
How many models of abiogenesis are there? Many. Okay? And still, scientists won't say this is how it.
No, there is a dominant, theory.
Again, these are all theories. You cannot say this is exactly how it happened.
But you know why some theories are more popular with
I'm not
with
interested in
scientists?
popularity. I'm interested in proof. There is a difference between popular theories and proof. For example, the Earth. Many people come here and they discuss the Earth is actually a flat disk.
Yes.
Right. Now, to them, there are many popular theories. They don't want to accept it as a fact when actually you can go outside the Earth and observe it all around, whether it's a disk or not. They're not willing to that evidence. I'm asking, what evidence will convince atheists that the Creator exists? The evidence that the universe was life was created by a God. How do you know God created it? Because it may be counterintuitive that God created it, and you are open to that possibility. You can't bring that as an evidence.
He hasn't got the answer, bro.
No.
He's
You're
broke.
finding it. Look, you're finding it difficult. I'll tell you why you're finding it difficult to speak to me. Because you're finding like this person is so difficult to reason with. Why? Because I'm putting you in a corner. The corner that the atheists are trying to escape from. Not yourself only.
You know,
You're
I
not
can't-
the only one.
Salam corner.
In the salam corner.
I actually like talking to you more
I know.
because
So I'm gonna leave it to you.
you let me talk more than
He'll let you speak and get out of the corner. But when I speak, no atheists come out of the corner.
You know,
they remain there.
you think you know everything, but let me tell you, you just
didn't
didn't.
say I know anything.
No, I didn't. You didn't let me answer the questions. You were fundamentally wrong about atheists. Fundamentally
You
wrong.
can speak to my brother.
Fundamental.
He's more willing to listen to you.
Like what?
I would love to speak to you.
Okay.
Speak to you, but I need to go.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have to go somewhere. I need to pack up.
Okay.
Yes, but if you have any